All right, my friends, here we are. And as you can see, I'm now one of the cool kids. I've gone dark. Yes, sir. I've done it. Now, is everything exactamundo? I don't know. I don't know. Is this going to be cut out? Like, am I going to rather cut out something with the layout? We'll see. We'll see. Boomer GM, he's not the most exactamundo dude, if you know what I mean. So there we have it. With us are going to be, just to remind you, normally we have about 4 to 6 graduates a week. This time it really went off the hook because as we introduced Dojo 2.0, we had a bunch of people coming out of the woodwork and saying, hey, I wasn't really using that scoreboard because I was a chump. But now I'm into this 2.0 thing. I'm all in. And so graduate me, Baus. Graduate me. And so these are the people we're going to be looking at today. And even though it's so arduous for the Boomer GM to do 3 shows, it's not that bad. It's actually really cool just to see that the level of engagement that we got. Okay, so here we go. Look at this Dojo score, baby. Dojo score. I am kind of ruining it here. I'm ruining it here because you can see we got the. I'm stinking it up with the layout a little bit, Bows, a little bit. Okay, we're looking for Chenid. I think that's the dude's name, and now I'm not finding him. That's terrible. Chenid Baus, where'd you go? Chenid, there might be something funky going on with Chenid. That's all I know. Let's go look at 1415, see if we see him there. Dojo score already set. Oh, and I think, dude, one of the things I asked Jack for is to just have the default setting be the ascending order of the dojo score. And so maybe that's now happened. That would be pretty cool. I'll just say, this will be a much bigger list eventually. Like right now we only have 46, but I can tell you this cohort has a lot more. So people are just slowly migrating over. We beginning of this month that we have people migrating over. Okay, I don't know what's going on with Chenid. There's something maybe funky about that graduation too. I don't know, but I'm not seeing Chenid in either this one or the one that dude was supposedly graduating to. Maybe I blew it. I don't know. But that was my info that I had on my sheet. Double checking. Double checking. That's what it says, dude. That's what it says. All right, let's move on and try to find Mr. Claw. Where's Claw, dude? There. Oh, wait, is it? Look, you idiot. You idiot. Chenid's right there. You guys can't see him, of course, because I blew it with the layout. But here we go, Chenid. Now here's where the layout works a little bit better. See, now I'm not in the way of everybody. So here's Chenid, and you can see Chenid's business, but really, we got to go activity and then see if we can see. We can't see what he did 14, 1500. So usually when I do the show, the idea is to show what they did in the past cohort to see how they progress. Of course, people are migrating. They don't have to put in what they did, in the last cohort. Makes sense. Only if you're really detail-oriented, right? Okay, but we can see kind of what Chenid's been up to, and then we'll check if Chenid has some games. I did cover one of Chenid's games on a recent Hunt for Model Games show that I did a couple weeks ago. At least that's how I remember it. And yeah, beautiful. Now there you see the time breakdown. Oh, this is great, dude. Look at that. Look at that, dude. Nice. Oh, it's really sweet, dude. Okay, and we'll just let's click on Middle Games and Strategy. Simple chess, reassess your chess. Beautiful. Okay. And I'm assuming like you click that means probably reassess your chess. Dude is only a portion into it. Makes a lot of sense. 10 means that dude finished simple chess. So basically you get a point for playing a classical game, a point for analyzing the game, and for a book you get 10, right? So that's how we're getting this breakdown. Let's look at tactics briefly. We got some mate in twos, some puzzle rush, some survival. Fantastic. Okay, great. So Chenid's been cruising up. Chenid is, I've seen him around. No games. I know Chenet has some in the old database. And all I have to say is to find those, perform a player search. Let's just go check, huh? Let's go check. I gotta say, it is pretty cool looking, this black layout thing. So Chen, id. Let's just go see. Searchovich, no Chenet. Am I spelling Chenet wrong? It wouldn't surprise. But I think I got it, Baus. Okay. Oh, I got the logo, Baus. I got the logo. The logo is there, but you just aren't looking. They were mad at me because I didn't have the chess.com logo, but I put it there. Dark mode for the win. It's pretty nice, dude. It also lets me do white text over here. Okay, so let's go to number 2. Number 2, we got Claw. Claw, I also did a game of Claws recently, but there's Claw right there. Pop. And what we'll do is we'll go activity and see if we can go. See, so here, if you have marked down what you did in your old cohort, then we can check it out. And you can kind of have for posterity what you did. And I will tell you that 146 is a pretty epic number. And one thing that I'm definitely seeing is that in the lower cohorts, people are often graduating with 40 or 50 points. The more you go up, the harder it is. Why? Because the more competitive it becomes. So 146, that's a lot of work, dog. That's a lot of work, right? That is the equivalent, basically, of playing 70 classical time control games and analyzing all of them, right? And if we break it down here, boom. Yeah, spending a lot of time with the games, as you would expect. And also really cool to see the dude is doing the review with the plus and the minus. Fantastic. Okay, I really like it. Let's go back. And then we'll click Endgame to see. Nice, the Silman Endgame. And then here on the left, you can see the stuff they've done actually since graduating. Now, I suspect dude might have graduated earlier. You know, again, people are just getting into this new site and might have just listed it right there on that day, that first day of the month. Okay, genius. Let's see if we got a game from Claw. Nice. Now, maybe I've seen this one before, but let's just go take a look. Look at this game viewer, dog. Look at this game viewer. All right. All right. So this is played in the Mechanics Institute. That's cool to know. Me and David played on the team there, Mechanics Institute team, back when it was the U.S. Chess League, before it was the Pro Chess League. I played a lot of tournaments there, blah, blah, blah. And actually, a memory I just stirred up is Vinay Bhatt, GM Vinay Bhatt, grew up playing there, and he just published a book that hopefully we're going to review at some point here at the dojo, detailing how he became a GM. And it's been hard for me to get to that book because there's so much going on. Okay, let's take a look. Uh-oh, welcome to the dojo. This is part of my series for the Chessable course I did. And boom, this is a very unpleasant position for black. So unpleasant that I think the modern recommendation has become to play bishop d7, which is one of the ugliest moves possible. So cool. I just want to say, I did it yesterday, but I just want to say, Jack, so cool now that I can move the pieces around while I'm doing this. And if white knows what he's doing, black is close to lost here. It's surprising to say, but close to lost. e6, exclam. Queen d6. Bam! Bam! All right, so this is some dark sauce, f4. Oh, just a quick little story. My student Jamil, basically his computer found this move. And, you know, I was trying to teach him principal chess, and I was just like, Jamil, buddy, we can't be playing this moves. We can't do it. And now Jamil's move has turned into, let's call it theory. Now, Claw here is saying that the idea is to stop queen g3. In fact, well, that's one idea, but the big one is we completely stop e5, and the horsey is coming in here. Then the secondary idea is, which the other thing, the reason it's surprising is it seems like, oh, maybe we're allowing bishop e4. But the problem is he puts it on e4. If we win that bishop, let's say for our worst minor piece with knight c3 takes, that's it. The light squares are gone. The light squares are all gone. And like black's other pieces are so nasty. So basically, this is what I meant when I said this variation with h6 is bad news. Very bad news. Okay, so here we go. Pop. Good. e6. Bishop d3. I spent a while considering whether I should play bishop h3 instead, but decided that getting rid of that light square bishop for black removed a very important defender of his position. Plus, this was the thematic move. Oh, dude, we're doing some good chess. The other thing that white could have played was the very brutalistic knight e5, but I fully appreciate what dude is doing here. I like it a lot. Snip, snop, bishop e7. Let's read what dude writes here. Now, this is pretty cool. Queen d3, plus minus. We're on move 13, and dude is saying it's over. Black actually can't develop his kingside pieces without losing material, so white is simply winning here. I think I agree. A point to see is that if knight f6, we got knight e5. Bam! Welcome to the dojo. It's all over. You can't take the knight. So, and there it is. There's a great note about it, right? Wow. And so bishop e7, truly a sad move. Now, here's a thing that I covered a little bit in the course. Position like this, what white has to understand is that they need to be sensitive to the needs of the knight. So I have not looked at this game yet. Full commendations for playing the opening phase brilliantly, by the way. But I've seen a number of people now go wrong because they are not sensitive to the knight. So even though I do believe this is winning, it's not over yet. Okay. So the moves that come to mind for me are knight c3, h5, and conceivably knight e5. But I like that dude is holding back on knight e5 because the knight gf6 cannot be played, right? Knight e5 does look like it's winning kind of on the spot, though, because if you take fe and then I'm going to castle short, and it's like the whole business vows. The whole shebangos is coming. Let's see how he plays it. g5, don't like it. Don't like it. Let's see what dude says about g5. g5, double question mark. Oh, and now this is interesting. Somebody else is doing some commentary here, which I like a lot. And maybe someone in chat knows who we're talking about with JJ. I have a sense maybe who JJ is, but anyways, let's read. My question here is, what is the object of your attack? White squares. Attacked by whom? Clark. Having overestimated knight g8, f6, e4, this went up the priority list. Okay, so what he's saying is he's trying to prevent this, but we've already seen that that can't be done because of knight e5, right? Another risk, we've returned the f5 square to black, which matters in lines where they can go knight g8, e7, f5. So that's actually another reason why the goal was to get a pawn on e5, not g5. Lesson, if playing pawn moves to restrict the piece, we must pause and ask, what does that piece need to get out of the bind? Fundamentally, it looks like we have further prevented knight f6, but knight f6 has already been stopped. Okay. Good. So knight e5 being the first candidate move, like I said, they do some analysis here. Good. Looks like it's winning. From a positional point of view, I like knight c3 because I don't even know what black's going to do. right? I don't even know what the guy's going to do because I can always play knight e5. And I need to get the queenside pieces into the game. Okay, so hg5, and now a pretty fancy move, rook g1. Okay. Now, let's just say the obvious. White not only was misguided with g5, again, not because they're not developing your stuff, right? And then, as is typical when you don't develop your stuff, you start getting a tactical problem. And then you become a little desperate, and in that desperation, you might find a fancy move like rook g1. Okay. Now, black can do, I think, a couple things here. Knight h6 speaks to me. Let's see what black does. Pop. I don't like it. An excellent defensive move for my opponent. Okay, maybe. Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that one? Is that in here somewhere? Oh, yes. One of the cool things I just want to say, when I make these annotations, right, it doesn't save into it, right? So I can do this, and then it'll just, clause annotations will remain pristine. So that's my question with the simple idea that, hey, I need to fix the dude, put the knight on f5. Once he gets the knight on f5, it's not clear the dude is doing so poorly, right? Okay, so g6. Now, my critique of g6 is now your knight isn't going to get out, Bo. Now it's not getting out. Okay, knight g5. The big problem for me here is that after trading the dark square bishop, black now has squares to get his pieces in the game. And the knight on e7 defends the only entry into the position. And he talks about knight e5 here. Now, one interesting thing is, if I'm worried about something, it would be still knight h6. In which case, I don't know why we played g6. I don't get g6. And dude is talking about knight e5. Okay. Anyways, knight c3 is also a thought. Pop. Now we get a nice trade. And now knight e7 is going to come. And now I think we're worse. Right? This is illustrative question mark. It's not that hard to see how we're running out of pieces and have no more pressure on g6. Oh, buddy. Yeah. No, there's no doubt. We're in trouble here. There's no doubt. We're down 1,000 tempi. And to me, this is really illustrative of the problem of sensitivity, right? And remember, ages ago, I didn't know what was going to happen. I was like, I'm really nervous that dude doesn't fix the knight, right? I said it right away because I've seen other people in this same variation and similar kinds of position at this level especially, but also in like the 2000 level, not have sensitivity to their pieces. And so I think we're probably toast here. h5 I don't think is going to solve the problems. I really don't, because black just has too much stuff. Let's see how they play it. Pop. I don't like it, GH. I don't like GH at all. Because this allows white maybe a breather to, well, Kraai, you're going to have an attitude about it. I was going to say maybe rook ag8, but maybe white just still plays knight c3 or something, Okay, so pop, bishop v3, knight f6. I think we're toast. Knight d2. Knight f5. They might be better moves, but that looks pretty good to me. And now, yeah. The problem with knight f3, of course, is then white's going to play. Black has those, like a square like knight e4. And there's really not much we can do. Okay, knight g4. Good, fine move. Ugly. Ugly as sin. Oh, shoot. Now, black gets kind of fancy and takes the bishop. And maybe they can, but it should just be said that like a simple move like rook AG8 and white is doing nothing, right? White's doing absolutely nothing. So this is a little bit greedy. Good. Good, you got a little counterplay, bows. Yeah. I still think you're probably toast, but I get it. You're doing some business here. Now he has to at least be careful. So pop, pop, good. And now some choices are going to have to be made. Dude goes here. I would be interested in king g6. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I'd be interested in king g6, where I have options. Well, I just have a little bit of pressure on the rook, so it's I have a little bit more freedom, I think. Okay. Good. Okay. Now, it's a little bit surprising to me that we're going kind of fast here, but I think we're probably toast, huh? Yeah. Check to the miserable king. Check to the miserable king. Well, we're doing something. Check. Check. And we're toast. Oh. Okay, so his opponent doesn't trade queens. It's truly weird. Check. 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 Okay, let's see. Okay. So let me just say something kind of mean. Okay? Both players have spent a lot of time learning the opening and have done, basically with this f4 move, some deep, deep stuff, some deep work. But then here, I mean, maybe we're talking about desperate time trouble here. But yeah, we're not thinking. Now, the thing that I said about the lower cohorts is they were playing super fast. I mean, like unbelievably fast in complicated positions. And here, definitely, I think black didn't look to see if it was mate with rook d1, queen d2, right? Simply didn't look. And it's a little bit like your system two's flagging. Maybe at this stage, you're full of adrenaline and you're just trying to finish the game. And then you're like, oh no, oh no, it's not actually over. Now, is black maybe technically still winning? Maybe, probably. It's going to be some work though. Okay. Frisky, but okay. I'm not sure I like it. Check the miserable king. There, it's over. Okay, white could have defended a little bit better, I bet. JJ Lang. Okay, cool. Nice, dude. Well, Claude, that was a great game, dude. That was a great game, and I think you can see something. By the way, I did a video ages ago called How to Make 2100. In that game, I was talking about my student James Altucher's game in this variation. And it was a similar thing where he had an outrageous, outrageous attack. Let's say, here, where you're correctly saying that you're plus minus here. And dude didn't feel sensitivity to the knight. Now, let me repeat just what I said there, but I encourage you to check it out. That if I say, hey, boss, have some sensitivity to your bad pieces, there's no one that's going to argue about that, right? It's like, oh, thank you, Kraai. You're a genius for saying that. But if you're a teacher and you see it again and again and again, you realize, oh right, it's not just me saying it. Like saying it isn't enough. You need to have some bad experiences, such as you did here, to really start to feel it. Because I'm sure when we get to this position where you have to like play h5 like a madman, where are we here? There's an h5 move. That you're like, oh, bows. Oh, bows. I needed to develop my dogs, And the challenge, I think, is this. Well, there's a lot of challenges, but in this particular position, let's go over here, is that playing knight c3, it doesn't like immediately do anything. Whereas what white's going to be thinking is, well, how do I end the game? I want to end this dude, end the game. But in fact, all you have to do to end the game is to play 3 moves. Pop, pop, and pop. Because then all of that force is coming into play. And there's no counterplay. Rook e1's coming. Knight e5 is always on the table. And as you said, knight e5 is probably winning as well. But you see what I mean about the sensitivity to the piece. You could also play bishop e3. I don't have any problem with bishop e3. The point of bishop d2 is that we might want to put a rook on e1. But honestly, both are fine. And honestly, you could also just play knight c3 and then see where dude goes and then decide, Okay, good. Let's go and check out NFV. I'm going to feature this game. Pop! All right. Might get added to the Dojo Model Games database. All right. So we go back, and now we're going to check out, look at this thing, huh? Dark mode bows. Dark mode. All right, let's see if I can find NFV somewhere in here. All right, bows. Can we pull it up here? Where's NFV? I'm not finding NFV. Let's look. Sometimes my boomer eyes, don't see it when it's right in front of my face. I'm not seeing it, so let's go look at 1415 just to see if NFV is in that one. Here the dojo score isn't by default. And let's go. Yep. NFV, baby, where'd you go? Where did you go? There's English Spaniel. I do not see NFV. So a little bit of confusion there. I will try, at the end of the show, I will look again for NFV because I can show you, it was NFV 1881. No puedo see though, NFV. Let me look one more time because Boomer sometimes blows it here. There's NFV, chump. You chump, he's right there. He's right there, bows. Use Control F, please, Boomer GM. All right, I found it, okay? I found him. It was the numbers after his name that were driving me insane. Okay. So let's go first look at activity. That way we can see if... No, so as we said earlier, some people have imported their work in their last cohort. Some didn't. Fine if you didn't. And let's just see what they've been up to here. Games and analysis. Hopefully we'll find a game by NFV. I believe I've seen some games, at least in the old database. And some tactics. Mates in 2. All right, NFV's doing some good work. Doing some good work. And there's the time breakdown. Love it. Okay, let's see if we got a game or two here. Ooh, loads of games. Not that Karpov. Not that Karpov. So this was either played recently or uploaded recently. Let's check it out. And then NFV is black, so we're going to flip it. All right, fine. And dude says, by choosing this move, i.e. knight c6, I apparently gave white an advantage. Now, I don't know. It sounds a little bit like maybe the computer said that dude had an advantage. I don't know. There is nothing truly horrendous, though, about knight c6. If white wanted to exploit knight c6, there's only one move to my mind, and that's d4. But it's still, after d5, it's not the end of the world. So bishop g2 isn't it, though, because after e5, you're just doing great. d3, d5, very good. And so we have really a reversed perk, very fine position for black. Yeah, nothing to complain about. So, all right, bishop c5 is probably poor. Dude writes, I had a game in a similar line once where the bishop on c5 was active. It's a good diagonal for the dark square bishop. I had assumed that if bishop g5, I would play h6. Okay, so the reason why bishop c5 is incorrectamundo, I don't know if it's, I don't think it's a losing or anything, but now white could get a pretty good game with knight e5. The point being that here, and I think, I'm going to guess the best play is like this, and we see this with reverse colors in the perk. This same position comes up, and maybe it's equal, but here with the extra move, I'm guessing that maybe white's a little bit better after, say, c4. Okay, so my guess is neither player was thinking of the trick with knight e5, very old 19th century trick, when this move was played. Now, also it should be said that the bishop on c5, while it looks like a hero, can often be molested by either a3, b4 or c3, b4, and that would allow white to gain some space over there on the queen side. Let's see what they do. Knight d2 doesn't look correctamundo. Doesn't look correct. Okay, so what we're dealing with here is NFV is using stockfish, to find what's wrong with knight bd2. Now, as you guys know, my little rant, it's fine to use the machine at the very end of your analysis, but it's best if you can at least try to think about what's going on. So knight d2, let me just say, white's play feels mechanical to me. He's got a setup that he's just playing. Like Karpov 1A saw this in a book, and he's like, well, this is my setup. Okay. The problem with all kinds of setups is there's nothing wrong with the way white's played up till here. But here it's the time to think. Like here would be a time to see knight takes e5. Right? Yeah, c3, knight e5, and here e4 is a good move, but also knight d2 is just misplaced, right? Okay, let's see how this went down. Pop? I'm not 100%. Okay, so dude is mad at himself because missing e4, but also I'm not 100% that the bishop belongs on e6, right? I bet white played e4. Let's see if my guess is right. No. Okay. So there's this is fully, as long as e4 isn't possible, which kind of looks like I guess it is, then this move is a reasonable idea because b4, this is maybe not intuitively obvious. I have a feeling black missed it as well. Is that b4 is actually a significant positional gain for white, right? I did a bunch of videos ages ago called the Endgame Repertoire for Black, and we see, with reverse colors a setup like this, with bishop b2, and it's very playable. White is probably going to be a little bit better after that, in fact. So, queen d7. Now, I want to say what I think is going on, I'm not sure, but I'm a pretty good chess psychologist, is that black is dreaming about, is saying to himself, how can I attack white? Right? So bishop c5, that looks like an attacking move. And then dude says, well, how can I get at him? And now is intending bishop e6, queen d7 with bishop h3. A great rule of thumb that Kostya taught me. I put it in my own words. And these are my own words. If you're going to play bishop h3 or bishop h6 with reverse colors, it needs to be about mate. And in this position, we're not, I don't think, playing for mate yet. Especially if we don't have the e4 idea on our agenda. Yeah. So bishop e6 is already a little bit misplayed. What would be the right move? Probably bishop b6 or something like that. Well, or a5 or castles, right? All right, so c3. Now we need to stop b4. I want to say that's a level I've seen 2300s not appreciate, that b4 is a significant spatial gain for white. Good move. And b5, I'm not thrilled with. No. Let's see what's written here. So, why is b5 not great? Well, first of all, if there's some tactical point behind b5, then I'm all for it. But the problem is that the beauty of c3 is that you have dominated this knight, right? So you don't want to move b5 because this reorganization maneuver isn't the dumbest thing we've ever seen. And once you play b5, you're going to owe another tempo because of queen b5. So more to the point would be e4, after which I'll say white is a little bit better. Now I'm going to either I'm totally wrong on that. I think I'm right from a human perspective, or the dude checked the computer said b5 was great. I don't know. I can tell you that strategically, unless white has a great idea after b5, it's not a good move. And I'm a great chess psychologist, boss. I am really good. I'm really good. I said dude was going to do this, and here he goes. Okay, one of the problems, by the way, for white, let's take it back to this position. Excuse me, for black. It's with reverse color, so that's an interesting Freudian slip. Is that really you're playing for space here. And what's going to end up happening is black decides to play for mate. And here, for example, you could maintain your nice advantage with the move c6. And you are, I don't know, better. Why? Because you have more space. Yeah. And your knight on c6 is getting pushed to a better square on g6. Right? However, and let's say why? Because the pawn on d5 is dominating this chump. However, in the game, when this happens, now the chump is going to get these squares. And white, I assume, should be better. Let's see what happens. Pop. Bishop d2. Was it necessary to release the tension? Probably not. By release the tension, I mean, if you're going to mate him, you're kind of hoping for bishop h3. So you shouldn't be worried about that. If, for example, you played knight d5, then I have the extra worry, I being white, of, oh my God, maybe I have to worry about knight f4 because gf, queen, g4. Don't even know if that works, but that's just one more threat I have to worry about. All right, snip, snap. a4. Okay. I think it'd be good for NFV to give us some evals here in this position. Right? Is white better? My sense is white's a little bit better. It's like a good Sicilian. Oh, what did he say about that one? It says gains more time. I don't know. I don't know about this move e4. Maybe. It's a very controversial move, especially since there's no rush to do it. There's no rush to play e4. Moves that come to mind are bishop b2, queen b3. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this e4 move. Okay. All right, so white was terrified of queen g4. I don't know if it was necessary. I don't think it was doing anything. All right. So rook e8, bishop e3, queen e7. Queen c2, bishop c5. Okay, so here's an example. I'm going to guess this was also the computer that found this move, which is knight ce5, just because dude was finding tactics with the computer earlier too. Okay. Now, I got to say that if you could play bishop c5, then it's to your benefit to do so, because that bishop on e3 is much stronger than your bishop. So as long as this knight ce5 thing isn't there, not a bad idea. Okay. So pop, pop, rook ac1, rook a d8. Okay. Okay, I like it. That's not a happy move. That's not a happy move. So wait a second. Let's go back. And dude says b6 probably best here. It's a pretty anti-intuitive move, but the knight a5 thing really does, it is very potent. There are more active moves that come to mind. Because once you play b6, your c7 pawn is really like, oh, buddy, you know, not a happy camper. So I don't know exactly how it worked, but a6 comes to mind for me, to at least try to mobilize our rook, right? Okay, so, right. Good play by white, by the way. And let's commend white a little bit. Karpov 1A might be in the dojo. I'm not sure. And what we should say is that white chose this English opening, and I was critical of some of the mechanical moves they made. But now I feel like this is the dream that white probably had when he woke up one morning and said, hey, I want to play the English. You've dominated the minor knights. This knight a5 is just creating a real mess. And rook b8, it's just, we're positionally lost now, right? Because we can't really play b6, and then, therefore, the knight is, I was going to say enslaving the rook. You're not supposed to say that anymore, Bows. Rook c3, good move. Good move. All right, let's see if white can finish this dude off. Queen c2 looks strong. Knight e8. Okay, let's be tenacious. h4, a little frisky. Now, one thing that I think is happening is that black spent a lot of time annotating the earlier part of the game, and here is dialing it in a little bit. h6 I don't like. Why? Because knight h4, well, we should at least consider knight h4, you know. So now, right, you could have just played, well, you did play g6. No, I don't think you should let him take it. Once you let him take it, your structure's all messed up. So that's good. Now, where's notice, we're talking about sensitivity. The question I have is white being sensitive to his knight on f3 being dominated by the pawn on f6? That's my big question. And now, boom, I don't like it. So let's flip the board for a second and just talk about white. White has a great position, and in the next couple moves, he's going to lose the threat. I haven't even seen what happened. All I saw was that dude played knight c4. There's no way we should be playing knight c4. We have a position that's here, it's winning strategically, right? So knight h4 for sure, and then something nasty like g6 has to happen. And then we just tell ourselves, hey, that was a cool achievement, because we've really softened black over there. It's not over yet, though, is it? Right? Not over yet. And maybe a plan for black could be king g7 to guard the pawn, and then knight e6, knight d4. Oh, still some work to do. Yeah. Yeah, it's not super. I feel white's winning, but it's not super. It's not just like immediately evident how this game is going to end. Queen e2 to g4 is a thought, for example. Okay, so let's go back to the game and just acknowledge this is where white starts to lose the thread. Excuse me. Over here starts to lose the thread. And we'll flip it back to black. That doesn't seem right. At least he's got to have a good idea if he does this. And now knight e6, please. Thank you very much. Plausible. King f8. Rook f7. Thank you very much. And now, well, white still might be better, but he's definitely lost a lot of his advantage. And I'm going to go ahead and say c6 is the first move to come to mind. Let's see if black does it. No. Okay. And then white says d4 plus minus. So let's just be clear. Rook d1 has one idea. It's to play d4. Right? We have to open black up a little bit. But we did have this option to play c6. Now, perhaps dude thought that pawns were people and said, oh, I don't want to have a funky pawn. But if he takes, he opens our rook. And so even if we were to lose the pawn, we should really consider this move because it activates our stuff. Yeah. Okay, so d4, good. This, by the way, especially for somebody playing at what's the 1500 level, maybe Karpov is maybe 1600 level, I can't tell it. This is chess.com, so yeah, 1900 is pretty good. This is nice positional play. Like, I criticize some of white's moves, but still, this is nice positional play. Now c6 comes. Uh-oh. Nice. Nice. Oh, now he's putting the screws in pretty good. Nice. Check to the miserable king. White wins. So I learned, let's see the lesson. So I learned that black needs to play actively against the kings in the attack, not allow tempo to be gained, and likely use a Caro-Kann-like structure to contest the Fian Shadow Bishop. Now let me just say, there's 1,000 different ways to play against the king's Indian attack. 1,000. There truly is. You could do, you could play g6, you could play e6, d5, you could play c6, d5, and your move, knight c6, actually, from a practical point of view, it's very clever because the objectively best move here is d4. But white is just playing a structure, so they're not going to play d4. So now you got this setup, which was fantastic. Now you're talking about a Caro-Kann structure. Of course you could have done it, but you did great here. You got this beautiful position. Yeah. And white played a little bit like a chump in the first couple moves. Ended up playing some really nice positional chess later, right? But at the beginning, especially, I guess, it was really one move, knight bd2, which I didn't like. Not only because even if there is an e4, I still don't like knight bd2, right? Okay, that's a good game. Let's go back and look at NFV's progress. I love it, dude. 89 points already in this cohort. Looks good, man. Looks good. Let's click on games and analysis again. Beautiful. And there's our time breakdown. Mostly games and analysis. Great, dude. Great. And I will say, when I see a game like that, even though, I made some critiques, for 1,500, 1,600, that's pretty good, man. Both players, really. There's some pretty strong chess for 1,500, 1,600. Yeah, for sure. Someone having too much fun in the chat. Okay. Let's tolerate then. No toleration. Oh, someone's shouting at me in the Discord. What have I done now? What have I done now? Yeah. Bruce, it's there, boss. You're just not seeing it. They're saying I don't have the logo. Bruce is old like me. His eyes are gone, so he can't see anymore. You can definitely see my logo, man. It's right there. I see it. It's right there in the corner, man. Right there. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so let's do the next one, and that is plantar, not plantar fasciitis. When you're an old boomer like me, that's the first thing that comes up when you hear plantar. It's like plantar fasciitis, man. That's what you get, man. That's the only thing. If you start talking, meet your old friends, and you just start talking about the diseases and the aches and pains you have. Welcome to the dojo. I'll tell you what, my friend. All right, let's go find plantar. Let's go find plantar. Wait, boss, can you find the cohort, please? There's our cohort, our beautiful cohort. Let's do dojo score. And we're looking for plantar. Tell me if you see this dude. I'm going to admit it. My setup is making it hard for you to see the people. Uh-oh. Now, if somebody said I should do Control F, I'll do Control F, boss. No plantar. No plantar. Did I get this right? Maybe I spelled plantar wrong. It wouldn't be the first time. Let's go 14, 15 and see. There's plantar. Okay, let's look. Let's click on plantar, and we'll go activity and see. Okay, so dude, it's weird because I was just in the 1500 cohort, wasn't I? I'm going to go back. Am I losing my mind? Oh, what's going on? So this is a list of graduates from the 1500 cohort. But then when I went to 16, I couldn't find dude. In any case, we found our dude. We found our dude. There's plantar. And, right, didn't log this business for 15. That's fine. Tactics. So one of the cool things about, I've been doing this graduate show for a long time, is that before I would look on our old Google Doc, dude, and see like what people have done, you know? And there were multiple ways that people graduated, right? And some of them were just like pure tactics, you know? And I think for us, you know, especially if you're rising fast, that might be a way to get up a cohort, maybe even two, right? So it's just kind of cool to see what's being done. Let's look at this tactics. Bam! Bulgar mates in two. Now I suspect plantar might have just gotten to 15, 16 and is now just doing some work. So this could change, of course. When I first entered my little pie chart, it was also not entirely, the food groups weren't entirely balanced either. Okay, let's see if we can get some games from plantar. No games. Again, plantar might have games from the old page. Let's go look at plantar here. Let's see if I can search my player. Search player. Yes. Okay. Plantar 91. Search. Oh, there's plantar. We found him. So I think this is like older games. And if I go by date. So this is done the end of last year. Might have been annotated by his opponent. Let's just make sure. Jane B. Hard to see. Let's see if we can get in here. Let's look at a game. Now that looks like a Lee Chess comment where the computer says something like, inaccuracy, E4 was best. I mean, you know, take it easy, Lee Chess. Take it easy. D6. Learning the King's Indian and happy with this so far. So good. This looks like to be plantar's annotations. And E3 is the normal move here. Some people play h3. But yeah, interesting game. g3. Why does this doesn't feel right to me? Well, the main reason is if you're going to play g3, there's no reason to put the bishop on f4, right? The reason to put the bishop on f4 would be to play e3, so you get your bishop outside the pawn chain and then try to make a bulwark against e4. So g3 doesn't make any sense to me. Let's see what black does. Knight bd7. Now look, here's the thing where a dude says, I can't remember if this is the right setup. There's no way you're going to learn this in terms of memorizing some opening line. This guy's playing some odd moves, so you've got to figure it out on your own, right? And I would say I would think about this position. I'm not 100% what to do either. My instinct is to play knight c6. And the intuition would be, if ever d5, I'm really interested in that move. But it's pretty hot still. It's pretty hot. Okay, let's see what happens. There's nothing wrong, knight d7. Now you're not threatening e5. Now here it says inaccuracy, e5 was best. This is where a computer is leading us a little bit astray. Why is e5 best? Jesse doesn't understand why e5 is best. Because you take it, Baus. What's happening? What's happening? You know? Maybe the computer has some fancy thing here. I don't know. I don't get it. Yeah. Chess Bra! Thank you for rating, my friend. Chess Bra people, let me just tell you something. We're a friend of your site. I've known Eric Hansen. Oh, man, I've known him since he was a little kid, dude. I went up and played a tournament. Calgary, that's where dude's from. And this is ages ago, man. Let me try to remember. I'm going to guess 2010? Something like that? Something like that? Yeah, he was, I don't know, young kid, 17, 18. I can get my dates wrong or something. But anyways, a while back. And anyways, Chess Bra, this is what's going on. See this beautiful interface? This is the Chess Dojo Games Viewer. And we're doing a graduation show. We just moved a bunch of people to Dojo 2.0. Beautiful website, dog. Beautiful website. So if you're interested in training, hit that exclam 2.0. It's all there. In fact, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Exclam 2.0, baby. All right. Okay. So we're looking at games of people who have graduated from one cohort to the next. This was a graduation from 1400, 1500 to 1500, 1600. Okay. Now, this particular annotation I'm critical of because people are using the computer and some weird stuff's happening. Now, one thing that's happening to, I can say for sure with black, is black now loses his mind with knight b6. But they're no longer in an easy situation because e5 doesn't work, right? And black should probably put that in their annotations. Doesn't work because of this biznats, right? So then knight b6 happens and the knight's a complete chump on b6, right? So let's look at this briefly. So it's in this position that black starts losing the thread. Black's fine here, but it is important to come up with a plan. And maybe the easy thing to do, if you just didn't know what the frick, is to play knight h5 and then e5. The knight is not great on e5, h5. You're going to have to come back, but at least you're getting the e5 break in, right? Okay, so black loses the thread a little bit, and so does white. And so does white. By the way, I'm going to say this, our games database, dude, it is amazing. Planter, if you're watching this, though, you are a criminal. You are a criminal, Planter. Because, Baus, you're using the computer. This is computer speak here. Right here, mistake b3 was best. That's the way a computer talks when you do your Lichess annotation that automatically comes up after the game. Inaccuracy, e5 was best. Dog, you can do it. Just do it after you've looked at it with your own eyes. So c5 is an instructive mistake. Why? Because the knight is a chump, absolute chump, and after b3, domination. Domination. Maybe you could play queen b3 too, but b3 just ends the knight's career. c5, now all of a sudden, wow, he's on fire. Let's bring him in. Pop. Oh, now you're doing great. And so one of the things, actually, I'll say that the reason it's hard for people to play with space, and this applies to GMs too, is you have to keep your opponent's pieces contained. You're not even trying to do, you're not, like here, White's probably thinking, oh, I need to break open this diagonal and get at him. No, your job when you have space is just to sit and make sure your opponent can't move, i.e. b3, right? And one of the challenges there is it's like when you play b3, you don't even have a plan of what you're going to do next. You're just like, well, I'm going to see what this guy does, and then I'm going to try to shut him down again and again and again until he's smushed off the board, right? So it's a challenge because a lot of players feel like they need to do something, but by doing something, now the dude's free. And a great lesson for all King's Indian players here is when your opponent loses control over their space advantage, like White does here, well, well, my friend, then your pieces, like your knight, they're angry. That's an angry piece all of a sudden. All right, e3. I hate these annotations. I'm going to just say it, Planner. I don't like your annotations, Bows. I don't like it. Your computer annotations. And then you're saying inaccuracy. Knight c3 was best. Okay. For example, if you're doing some annotations here, one reason to think about knight c3 would be to say, oh, well, what about h6 next to trap or give the bishop grief? h6 now, of course, is also a thought. These are the kinds of things you could explore if you didn't have the engine turned on. Okay. Now, this would, if White can avoid this, they should, because now they're just getting hosed. We should also make a note that ED makes a lot of sense here too, because the rook is going to be opened. It would also be good in the annotations to talk a little bit about why we feel that White is in trouble here, right? And what's interesting for a King's Indian player too is to develop the strategic feel for the fact that your dark square bishop is unopposed and a very angry man. All right, rook b8, do I like it? I'm not thrilled with rook b8. Yeah, not thrilled. Knight f6 comes to mind. And I know I just said knight b6 was a terrible move, but we could consider knight b6 because if they play b3, then at least we get to develop with the rook and then do our stuff. This is now a permanent weakness. Okay. Okay, frisky. More annotations needed here. There's a lot going on. For example, you can play bishop b7. There's no knight takes b5. So there's no need for a6. v3. Interesting that dude does it now. I guess because he was like, there's no other way to, I'm going to get forked if I don't do it. So let's say the obvious. Black needs to be thinking about how to get the knight in, and I think he's going to be able to get him in. So rook c8 makes a lot of sense to me here too. Knight h4, not sure I like it. And, okay, let's just, whoa. I'm raging at myself for this move. The moment I made it, I felt it was wrong. This was based on principles of the King's Indian in the blueprint. That's your fault, Kostya. Do you hear what he's saying, boss? That's your fault, Kostya. We got this thing. We got an openings repertoire feature on our site. And Kostya's done the one on the King's Indian. And yeah, this is his fault. I don't know what Kostya did, but this is definitely his fault. This is your fault, Baus. What a terrible move you made somebody do. Play the best move, not themes, he says. Okay. Now, one of the things that we're seeing, though, okay, is that you're having trouble when it comes to both sides are having trouble when it comes to making building moves, right? So a5 maybe, I don't know. I mean, to my mind, there's a simple move here, and it's called e6. Yeah, just play e6, Baus. This guy isn't doing anything. Then we'll start putting our business over here in the c file. We could have started also with rook c8. Beautiful. We're doing great. Doing great. This knight's a chump. This bishop's a monster, right? Okay, f5. What's especially weird about it is I don't know what it does, you know? Now e7 is kind of like a weakness forever, but I don't know what f5 does. Yeah. Now, by the way, maybe your position's still okay. It's going to be okay until white figures out that the knight on g2 has to get fixed. And maybe a cool game we can play right now is just to ask ourselves, how long will it take before white figures it out? In particular, yeah, like right now, let's flip it. I haven't looked yet. And we'll say a theme of today's show, it's every show when we start talking about slightly higher rated people, is do they fix their worst piece, right? So let's talk about it. There's the plan of pop, pop. There's the plan of pop, pop. There's a plan of pop, pop. In short, white has to do one of those. White's got to do one of them. All right, let's see which one, if at all. And we'll yell at him. We'll yell at him if he doesn't do it, okay? Queen a2. Mistake. h4 was best. This is computer annotations. This is computer annotations. h4. Look at that long line, computer generated line. My friends, let me just say, I want to say a little bit about these annotations. The beginning of the dojo, I was not sure at all about whether we'd be getting good annotations. Not at all sure. I've done a lot of work with other students, and I told them to annotate their games, and often they did not. They just didn't do it. So I didn't know. I didn't know if they were actually going to do the work. I didn't know. All I knew is that if you wanted to improve, you needed to analyze your games. That's something I knew. So fast forward to this moment here, and I expected a lot more annotations that looked like this, where somebody turned on their computer and had them say something like h4 was best, right? And the genius of what's happened in the last year is so many people have done really good work. When you look at the vast majority of the Dojo database games, there are very few that are computery like this. And let me just say, I have sympathy because, you're like, well, I want to know what the best move is. Just tell me what the best move is, Baus. Why do you got to make it so hard? Right? And, but here, you can notice, using this as an example, it's not at all clear that h4 is the best move. No, not at all, dude. Not at all. Why? Because it lacks sensitivity to the knight. Okay, queen a2, I'm going to say is playing for tricks. Maybe dreaming about something on the diagonal. But b4 just allows knight c4. Yeah, in addition to hanging the pawn. So one kind of hilarious thing is the f5 move. F5 move put white fully on tilt. No one knows what f5 was about, but it put dude on tilt. As I look at it more, I guess I prefer knight h4 to f3. At least then we have thoughts of e5. By the way, one curious thing about this position is when we think of, say, h4, I don't know, because maybe you're going to play e5. Looks weird, but maybe you can get away with it. It's a really weird move. But, the point is pop, pop, and if queen d7, I'm holding my business over there, right? Okay, I don't understand h4 anyway. All right, let's take a look. Queen a2, blunder. By the way, that we're talking about sometimes annotations. That to me is definitely a double question mark because the game is kind of interesting and unclear here. After queen a2, you're toast. And this is also just a terrible move because the knight was bad on b6 and now it's a hero. Okay. And I'm going to give him props for not taking the knight. I think taking the knight, you're winning. Maybe, well, wait a second. Maybe you should take the knight pose. Let me just say, I like, in principle, the idea of not taking the knight. The issue is, and it looks like maybe you just missed it, that knight e3 creates at least some counterplay. Okay. So easy chess would be to just take the stupid knight and start pushing your pawns. All right, pop. That's definitely weird. And now we don't know what's happening anymore. Check to the queen. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to say, again, we're getting computer stuff with queen c6 was best, is that you run the risk of just being much worse because your king is worse than white's king. And excuse me. And one reason to play queen c6, and this is where it's really helpful to think about doing the annotations yourself, is the point of queen c6 is to get the ladies off the board. You gotta get the ladies off the board in this position because once the knight starts screaming around, oh no, and there's zero counterplay against the white king. Okay. So, pop, pop. And now black blunders with d5. Now, this move, knight a4, it says blunder queen e7 was best. Yeah. So the point is that queen c6 no longer possible because I got rook e6. Unfortunate momentito. It's still a little complicated though, isn't it? So here's an example of where the computer, we got to check with our own eyes. So what do we have to check? We have to check pop, 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 pop. And unfortunately for us, this is hanging. So it's because of that detail that queen c6 doesn't work. And I'm just going to guess that white didn't see it when they played knight a4. Because otherwise, if the knight becomes a chump after a move like queen c6, then obviously it wasn't a good thing. Yeah. And the more human move would be knight e2, right? Okay. And now the game's over. One of the amazing things, that the Lee chess studies, I don't know what's going on with Lee chess. Maybe it's just the boomer in me, but it always says normal at the end of the game. Hey, Lee chess. When I talk smack about chess.com, I'm always talking about Danny. I'm like, Danny, what are you doing, bud? I don't know who to talk to when we talk to Lee chess, They need a mascot or somebody who I can identify when I go on my rants here. Anyways, it always says normal. No one knows why. One normal blunder begets another. Pros got a better sense of a King's Indian, which is good for the opening repertoire. Feel I offered good positional play. Cons f5. Okay, so I really, really want to stress, many people will be tempted to do their analysis based on the computer, and you can just see there's so little meat in the analysis then because the computer was used, right? Okay. When you sneeze, your soul leaves your body for a few seconds, so we bless them to prevent demons. That's true. That's true. Thank you for blessing me. Okay, let's do Sombrero, aka Cartier Tank, who is now in the 1700 to 1800 cohort. Bows. Here's our beautiful scoreboard. Let's go over here. Pop. Let's see if we can find Sombrero using the Dojo score. Oh, we got some big names in here, my friend. All right, so you got Sombrero. There you can see his graduation, activity. And let's just see if we can go. Okay, so Sombrero hasn't logged. It's fine, you didn't do it, Sombrero. It's cool. It hasn't done the 1600, 1700 to just. We could probably go back in the old scoreboard and see what dude did. Yeah. So now, oh, dude's doing some good work. Art of Attack. Oh, where's that book, Bows? It's on my desk here somewhere. I've been doing that with Jamil. Great book, man. Great, fantastic book. Chess Tactics from Scratch. I also enjoyed that book. I did a review of that book you can find on our YouTube channel. Let's see here. So let's just click on Middle Games and Strategy. Art of Attack. All right, boss. I like it. And the Chess Tactics from Scratch, I'm guessing, is the tactics section, along with Puzzle Survival. Beautiful. And then Games and Analysis. Looks good, man. So one of the things I yelled at Sombrero ages ago, that was a long time ago, is that I think, well, he had a problem when he was submitting the annotations that they were often not that deep. Now, here's what I want to say about database to kind of bring this point home. The fact that people are publishing their analyses, that they know like me or somebody might look at them, doesn't mean we're going to. They might just be in the database, maybe no one looks. But the fact that they will maybe be looked at someday is the fact. I feel really certain about this. That's the reason why so many of our analyses are of a higher value, right, than the standard ones that I would get from my students, that I would see in other places that weren't like public, right? So Bob Vinnick was like, dude, you got to publish your analysis. Back in the day, though, no, there was only a couple GMs who had the wherewithal to like actually publish them, right? It's a big old process. Now, you just get on a Lichess or ChessBase or ChessCom, write it up, pop, put it in our database, published, Bows. All right, so let's see. So my big hope is that Sombrero has some games here that have some high quality analysis. Let's just see what happens when I hit games. Pop, no games. Wait, let's try over here. There's a search by player. We're gonna search Cartier Tank, aka Sombrero. Pop. There we go. Oh, he's got one against Chris C, dude. That's interesting. That's cool. So, I think what that means actually is Chris C annotated the game. Let me just double check if that's correct. Yeah, annotator Chris C. Chris C is, oh no. So that's a mild problem we have here. So we have some minor problems with the setup, but it would have been nice, of course, if when I go back, it shows me the page I was actually on. But here I can search again. Stop complaining. Stop complaining, Bows. And let's organize it by date. And let's see if Mirko here is the annotator or Sombrero. Lenovo. I have a feeling this is Mirko's analysis. Shoot, I'm gonna have to do this again. All right, here we go. Wait a second. Bows. No. You gotta go player. You gotta remember. How many times am I gonna have to spell out Cartier Tank, man? Come on, dog. All right, so let's see if this was Sombrero's here. Pop. Lenovo. Oh, wait a sec. Maybe Lenovo is Sombrero. Okay. Let's just go look. Oh, don't look again. We're going to assume that this is Sombrero. We're just going to make an assumption here and see how it goes. It isn't wordy, Jesse, he says in the chat. Likes the tactics book. Yeah. Okay. c6. Okay. This has, first of all, it's really cool that Sombrero is doing this. This is in the aggressive repertoire for white. Knight f3, d6. d6 is, that's mildly interesting, actually. I'm not even sure I have that in the repertoire. So to just show something about move order and everything, I gave d3 here as basically the alternate move order. So what do I mean? Let's imagine. Wait a second, Jesse. Wait a second. Wait a second. You're fine, Mouse. Knight c3, c6. Knight f3. Now, there's a couple moves here. And right, I remember this. Okay, so I think knight f3 is fine. The bummer about knight f3 is that after a move like d6, it's not really clear how we pursue the game. I think more interesting would be queen f3, followed by knight e2, knight g3. Queen f3 is just mechanically preventing d5. Okay, nothing wrong, knight f3 though. d6. Interesting. And then dude says, careless move, bishops are gone. Okay, so let's just say some people, and I especially understand this if, you know, a person's not an English speaker, native English speaker, will just have the tendency to go purely for variations. And I think what's happening here is then wherever Sombrero did the original annotations, it comes in here, and then we're getting a weird like $1, which probably is an evaluation, like white's a little bit better or equal or something like that. And this is actually a good annotation, that a3 is a better move. Yeah, just so that black can't easily get rid of our dog here. Okay. Right, so bishop b3. And now Sombrero says that black is better. Now, do I believe that? No, I do not. I do not believe that. Because just because you're going to lose the bishop, that's not that bad of a thing. d4, however, does look like a significant mistake. Because after d4, and it feels like a little bit like you're upset, and you're like, oh, now I'm gonna start some garbage. Now I'm gonna start some business, bows. Okay. So when you play d4, you lose the pawn chain, right? And you lose control over the e4 square. One cool thing that Nimzovich said was that weakened pawns, like these ones, get weaker the more they advance up the board. As they are here, though, they're not so weak. They're fine, right? And by the way, I love black's response. The computer might find something else, but that's a very good and human response because you just say, Baus, what do you want? What do you want? Now white's in real trouble. This knight can't move. It's dominated. It's not doing anything. That's always a chump move. That's always a chump move. So what are you supposed to do? Hard to say. Okay, but if we go back, there are two tries here where I feel we can have an interesting game. One is knight h4, but we do have to check if that is winning for black. If we decide that that's winning for black, well, then we just patiently play queen e1, intending knight h4 next. And knight h4 is the correct move because I want to open the rook and I want to land knight f5, right? And so this fe is not a bad thing. You're opening up your rook bow. So let's open up the rook by moving the knight. Yeah. So this Sombrero, I want to say this is the move that I would put a question mark next to. I don't have the ability to put a question mark. Yeah. This is the one. Look, I can do comments. There's comments, dude. I like it. Okay. Yeah, this is the one to think about. And one of the things that's psychologically interesting is both, I'm going to guess, during the game and then after, you felt that black had an advantage after knight c5. You like saw it and you're like, oh man, he's getting my bishop. He's got an advantage. So then you were like, oh, let's start some drama. Let's start some drama with d4, right? When in fact, you're fine. You're fine, boss. Queen e1, knight h4. Now, we could go, don't do it. Don't do it, Jesse. We could go off the deep end here. But let's just say that if dude does this, it's not, well, no, it's not an easy, it's not 100% what's going on here, right? Not 100%. And we could also consider knight takes e4. So knight h4, probably playable. We'd have to check, but that's not the point of this analysis. The point is either the knight needs to go there, whether it's queen e1 or right now. Okay, so pop, now black is definitely better. Arguably positionally winning. Very nice play from black. Black, by the way, I can't pronounce their name. I don't know what their actual name. Wislish is also in the dojo. So commendation for playing this phase correctly. Queen e1. And now black needs a plan. The issue is, where can I put my bishop that is somehow effective? Yeah, boss, but the easy thing is just play rook e8, man. Just play rook e8 and ask questions later. Is that so easy? It probably is, man. We could also consider getting frisky with b5. That also makes a lot of sense, you know. Okay, so this does not feel right to me. Queen h4. Okay, maybe. The reason I don't like that move, though, is I wanted my knight to go there. Good move. So if we contrast this with queen g3, queen g3 is much better. Because now with bishop h5, then I'm in business. I got my old friend, you know. So bishop g4, mistake. After queen g3, I think you're in business, bro. Queen h4, bishop h5, probably a good move. I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. You like rook a5, and that's a fancy move. But wouldn't the default response be to say, hey, boss? Hey, boss, what you doing? What you doing? Now, Sabra, I want you to see something about your play here, okay? When you don't know what to do, you're starting drama. So you started drama with this move, and then you started drama with this move. Whereas really what you need to be thinking of is fix the pieces bows, like this guy. All right, that looks right. So the big moment, and these notes are hard to follow, Sombrero. Let me just say, Bobs. Knight d4 is interesting. Nice. Okay, I'm into it. Those are good notes. That's a good note. So let's be clear. Black is the one who's going to go for it now with ED. This is a big-time decision that, honestly, I don't think they need to rush. So what should the default move here be for black? Sombrero finds it. Rook f8. Simple. Now my knight can move. Now I'm putting more pressure on the e-pawn. What do you got, White? What do you want to do? And the bummer, again, from White's perspective, is he's got to do something. Got to do something before you get squished. So rook fe8, clear advantage black, good annotation. Good annotation. And so notice that black is trying to solve all their problems immediately via tactics. And this is very suspicious, right? Even before we start analyzing, it's like, uh-oh, someone just pinned their stuff. Okay. Now, what are we saying about this knight g5 move? Okay, so let's go down this road for a second. Oh my God, I gotta cry. You gotta stop. I gotta. Oh, I've just been having way too much fun. Hour 30 minutes on here, boss. Oh, I gotta go, my friends. I gotta go. Sombrero. Let me just briefly go through this game. Knight f5 would be the interesting move. Pop, 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 pop. You got him, boss. You got him. Welcome to the dojo. This is some good chess. Oh, that's a good finish, boss. That's a good finish. All right, my friends, I got to run. I didn't realize I was here. I was having fun. Sombrero, dude, that was great. And annotations, I want to say, are improved. Your variation's a little bit mucky here, but honestly, I can see you did good work in here. Like, that's a good evaluation. Fantastic. Computer might even say black is winning. I don't know. But that's a good evaluation for a human. Just a clear advantage. That's what he should do, right? Yeah, I like a lot of these variations. Good, dude. And I want to stress, the d4 move and the queen h4 move are the ones that you can improve on. It's a psychological thing, right? Just because the guy pops you in the face doesn't mean you got to go crazy, right? Knight c5, you're a little upset. You're like, oh, now I have to do something. All right, everybody, I got to run. That's been great. You got to raid somebody, boss. Who are you going to raid, boss? Who are you going to raid? There's so many people. There's so many people to raid. Let's raid the chess nerd. He was on, he and Kostya did some stuff. Paul 1E4. I met Paul 1E4, you guys. Maryland Open. Yeah, hello, Paul 1E4. Nice, dude. Nice. All right, I can't raid. Sometimes it doesn't let me raid. I already hit the raid button. If somebody can hit the raid button, hit it for me. Guys, I got to run. Bye.